with growth, what needs to come is systems, and systems that get adopted.
And that's a challenge for every business owner.
There is a huge fear about, should I give up? If I let change come in, will it disrupt already what I have over here?
We all fall into the trap of saying, oh, but we've had a lot of bad hires, especially when you're hiring your next rung of leadership.
It's both an art and a science. The science behind it is, of course, there, the type of questions, the type of inputs that you hear from someone. But one of the things that I have learned to listen to is my gut.
You all were the first agency that I saw, and probably the only one, very strong women leadership based organization, to say, hey, that's not the enemy, it's not us against them. We will bring that to our work.
It takes people time to learn on the systems. It takes people time for corrections. We made the first supermodels in India.
So what is the ground on which you do this innovation?
If you're enforcing some of these things, because any marketing campaign I do is not relevant if I don't plan for the correct audience.
What about the team is what is enabling you, one, to be so agile and to be so quick?
You have to realize that sometimes great is the enemy of the good.
So what's a good tip for, let's say, your leadership layer?
Are you relevant as a leader to the audience that you have today? So if the Gen Z is the larger audience you have, are you relevant?
There's still a lot of care into the ideas that you implement.
I'm a huge proponent of Gen Zs. I feel they got impeccable amounts of talent, and we just have to tap it correctly.
Building a business from ground up, which means processes, people, demanding people, even more demanding clients, 24/7. It's an agency, it's a life. And today we have Tina, a very special guest, to talk to us about the many, many facets of building your business, growing it, having a life in it and outside it, and all the challenges that come with that. Here's Tina Mansukhani Garg, CEO and founder of Pink Lemonade Communications. Delighted to have you.
Delighted to be here, and you're very special in my journey as well. So thank you for having me. And Hasita is someone I have learnt of along the way, interacted, worked together with, and so happy to see that both of you are hosting this beautifully.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Tina. And I think I've kind of set the context at the get-go that it's been years of just a lot of your sheer passion, commitment to Pink Lemonade, right? So if you look back at whatever is day one that comes to your mind, and then where you are today, right? A thriving agency, so well known in the industry, the years of fabulous work behind you. What would you have worried less about, and maybe what would you have put a little more into?
I'd like to firstly express that little bit of gratitude, because yes, it is very well respected, very well known, and the journey is not overnight. It has been a long one. It has been a beautiful one, because before I knew what was happening, I think the agency was running me more than me running the agency, which I think Hasita will also agree with. Yeah, so sometimes there are things that you get into and you don't realize that it's going to happen. And I think one stage for me was too much growth too soon, while you reveled in it for a very long time, because every year we were having that growth in numbers and growth in the number of people, the revenue, and it was like marvelous. And then post COVID, of course, we again grew post COVID about 60-70% in a year. And with growth, what needs to come is systems. And systems that get adopted, not that whether they're not there, they are there, but they're not adopted correctly and in time for results to show, or for systemic satisfaction of certain things. And that I feel, when that growth happened too soon, we had diversity coming in, we had diverse experiences coming in, because I was a need of the hour. Post COVID, digitization, digital business really boomed. And I feel that is what I would have done differently. Had I been planned for growth, I would have planned for that, coming in of people in a certain sense. And that I think the system maybe took time to quickly, because we were so busy doing that you don't look internal at that point in time. That I would have done differently. What I'm very happy about is I think we would have always done employee centricity has always been there, along with customer centricity, of course, and that is something that's a huge positive I look at. Of course, like I said, when you grow, culture dilutes a little bit, and that is the thing I would have done differently as well.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think, I mean, it's a good problem to have, so it seems, right? Growth in the early years, steadily adding more and more people. But I think there comes a point where then you need good people to hand off to.
yeah,
And that's a challenge for every business owner. Even today, I mean, it's at any
yeah.
time and space, that's a challenge of finding the right people. So what do you think has worked for you? Because there is a very kind of intrinsic need for each of us to find another us,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes we need just the opposite.
Hmm. So I think that is like the founder's dilemma, isn't it? That
Mm.
when you have so much of passion and you think that you are so good at something, it's not that you don't want to give it up. It shackles you itself because you're so used to doing those things that you don't recognize that there may be others who are doing it differently but still resulting in outcomes. And it's not that we don't want to hand over, it's just that in the heat of the moment you do it and do certain things. But then, life gives you opportunities, and I'm thankful for that you get opportunities where you can say that you can step back and you can give some of these things. One of my biggest learnings that I will add here has been recently from Anu Aga, who's Thermax, and her daughter Meher. Recently moderated a session with them, and I learned
So
of how they could let go, how Anu could let go and say, I want to hand over. So, letting go also, if we see in the bigger companies, of course, I'm a small agency, but there are larger setups which are run by entrepreneurs, first, second generation, first generation entrepreneurs. When the children come back from, overseas education and things, you're not able to let them take the decision on certain things because you're so used to doing it in a certain manner.
yeah,
And there is a huge fear about, should I give up? If I let change come in, will it disrupt already what I have over here? But I think there's a huge realization that if you don't change what is the need of the hour, don't change at the need of the hour, then nothing will change further also. So I read somewhere the other day that your business is a pure reflection of what your habits as an entrepreneur is. And therefore you have to allow others to come in as
yeah,
well. So I've evolved today to that level where I'm okay to say a collective of my leaders can come with the solutions and I have to be open eyed towards them.
yeah,
And to have that perspective, I think we all fall into the trap of saying, "Oh, but we've had a lot of bad hires."
Mm.
Right? And what I'm hearing you say is that if you're doing it over and over again, then it's not the hire that's bad.
It may be the method.
Right? So, how do you figure that out, especially in a service context? And again, this is a very creative field.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you know, especially when you're hiring your next rung of leadership, that they're the right people? Is it an instinct? Is there what is that thing about them that tells you?
Such a valid question you're asking me, Hasita, because I have thought of this many times myself. It's both an art and a science. The science behind it is, of course, there, the type of questions, the type of inputs that you hear from someone. But one of the things that I have learned to listen to is my gut.
Hmm.
Although, it may be wrong to say that don't form judgments in the first 2 minutes that you meet someone. Your gut is always telling you. Every
Yeah.
time I have hired for someone who is a pattern of a bad hire in the past, and I've said, no, but I really need this resource right now. I really need this skill set, or it's coming at the right skill
this
set
time
level.
it'll be different.
This time it will be different. Every time I have seen the management of that person has really been difficult. So I have learned to, and we all learn, I mean, we only take actions because of past learnings.
Yeah,
But a degree of openness also and change in methodology of dealing with people. I always say in the business of communications, we are always saying who's the target audience and we are communicating for them.
Yeah.
So why can't we be like that with different people and their needs as well in the system? I feel we should. I interact very differently with so many, and yeah. So yeah, if I may add one more thing is the openness with which I think every leader is different. My style is very connected, very open, very giving and transparent.
Yeah.
So I think people see the goodness of that, and then the stickiness develops because
Correct.
they like what they see. If
Yeah.
you're giving openly without expectations in return, they will appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I think that's an interesting thing that you said, because I've seen you at work,
Mm,
right? And you are so hands on,
yes.
right? You know what every single person is doing. Typically, like I've seen you say, hey, remember this client said this,
Mm,
and have you taken care of that? Like the little things,
yeah.
right? And how do you pass that on? Because we talk about, oh, stepping back, stepping. It's not that. It's about making sure you've handed it off well,
Yes.
right? So that you can do other things.
I think there are shared values at Pink Lemonade, my top leaders, and we have a bunch of 4 senior leaders. We have an immediate leadership team again under them. So there are a total of about 15 of us. And despite coming down in the numbers of people that we have held on to, the leadership team has remained. So if you see for that number of people, the leadership team is quite high. I think the continuity, the sharing of vision, um, taking decisions at the same time has learned collectively has resulted in a lot of learning and cohesiveness amongst all of us. But there's always got to be an openness of them being
Yeah.
able to say, voice, whatever. So when you say I am very hands on, I am much less hands on than I used to be.
That's a
Because
relief. I mean,
yeah,
and honestly,
that's
that's the dream also. So,
actually, yes and no, both, I'll
Yeah.
say, because as a creative person, I still miss the creative work.
yeah.
Because as you go higher, you have to,
You're further away from
further
it.
away from what
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
actually did and why you started,
Yeah.
when you started.
Yeah.
But I hear from the team, we really love brainstorming sessions with you. We look forward to that. So now when I say this is, couple of things I can do when there's time, I say, okay, who's free? Just come. Who will
Huh.
sit?
Huh.
So
Right.
that is the nice one. But I think doing a lot of things together, getting buy-in from your leaders is important. Letting them take the decisions on certain things is important. And the last year has taught me wonderful lessons in that giving it to my 4 senior VP and above SVPs
Mm.
and letting them run it has been hugely enriching.
That's
Some
great.
people still don't believe, Tina, you can stop.
No,
but
no, but
but
that's
I've
what I
learned
feel like.
differently.
Nobody wants to stop. They just want to move on to do
Other
other
things.
things,
Yeah,
right? It's not
yeah,
about completely stopping,
yeah.
and it's creating space
Mm.
for something else, which may not be physically at Pink Lemonade. It could be elsewhere, but it's about creating space,
Of
right?
course, that space happened for me last year.
Mm.
It happened because I realized, there was grief that I was carrying because of parental loss on both sides.
Mm.
And I needed to stop and do some things for myself.
Hmm.
And I said that, if I have to work on myself and heal in a certain way. For that, you can't have such a full life. You
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
because you've got to slow down and truly go internal.
Mm.
And I think that journey was absolutely beautiful. And I owe it to my team to carry the whole organization forward while I got to step away for some time.
Mm.
But soon enough, I came in and I found my mojo, which was, really meeting
Yeah.
people and doing the BD
Mm.
for the
Mm.
organization. And I just wish I would have discovered this sooner.
I was just going to ask you because there was probably a phase where you were doing everything.
Yeah, that's because growth happens so fast
Uh-huh.
that you just keep handling
Correct.
without stepping back. So there's a difference between urgent and important.
Yeah.
Shubha, you taught us
Yeah.
that. Huh? So that you take care of the urgent, you don't take care of the important.
Correct. So, in that, what did you enjoy the most? And like, was it that you were trying to do more of that, but everything else kept coming in the way, or you felt that no, this is my business, I have to have a little bit of my hand in every pie?
No, you don't. It's not that you have to have it. It's just that you want the outcome to be right.
Mm.
And there wasn't enough time with the volume of things we were doing.
Mm.
So you pick
Hmm.
it up. So you step in.
Hmm.
But if there was time, then you would structure a growth in a different way for
Yeah.
everybody through the whole thing.
And I think you guys were pioneers in many different ways. I mean, uh, one, like a very strong women,
Yes.
women, I won't say women only
Yeah.
because it wasn't, but a very strong women leadership
Yes.
based organization,
Yes.
right? And what I really liked was that post COVID,
Mm,
and one, the environment changed drastically. And then not just because of ways of work, but also because of AI,
sure.
right? And you all were the first agency that I saw, and probably the only one, to say, hey, that's not the enemy. It's not us against them. We will bring that to our work. So,
I
how did that
absolutely agree.
idea come about?
So full credit for that goes to Tapan, who's the other director of Pink Lemonade, and I'm married to Tapan. So he's our strategic director, and has always been somebody who's cued in onto processes,
Mm.
technology,
Mm.
and very early, I think in 2011-12 itself, he said, Tina, your progress is happening so fast. Don't be married to the fact that I have to do this creative in this
Mm.
particular till the last minute. You have to change
Mm.
everything. You have to realize that sometimes great is the enemy of the good, and you have to work like a software model where you set up the process to be a few things. That was his early intervention, and since then he has been with us directing, looking at what's upcoming. Of course, every year we've innovated also in different services:
Mm.
video,
Mm.
web production, UI, UX, bringing in digital, bringing in brand strategy, all of those things. Now, when it came to AI, in the spirit of that growth mindset and innovation, we said AI is going to change things, because I remember conversations started on WhatsApp groups saying, has anyone used ChatGPT? Has anyone used
Mm.
ChatGPT?
Mm-hmm.
And overnight, wow, it wrote the speech for me. At
Yeah.
leaders at
Yeah.
CXO level, people were talking this. And Tapan very quickly picked up on AI, and he said, AI is going to change. Look what I've done with AI. He brought out a whole lot of things. And immediately we set afoot a whole lot of training for the organization.
Mm.
It was more as an enabler. And
Mm.
honestly, if you look at AI as an enabler, then it can change a whole lot of things.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been able to get a lot of employee efficiency. I've been able to get reduction in team size, which are your direct costs,
Mm.
because
Mm.
of adopting AI correctly. We've been able to give outcomes to people that have completely changed things that we do today,
Yeah.
and things that the industry sees. And
And for what it's worth, creatives naturally gravitate to doing something else. That's what makes you creative, right? That you're willing to try.
but initially wasn't that, Hasita?
That's interesting to me.
Huh?
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It takes people time to learn on the systems. It
Right.
takes people time for corrections. We made the first supermodels in India. I remember we were working with Pallavi Foley and tried to create a supermodel for her to model the jewelry
Mm.
and things,
Mm.
a talking supermodel, when nobody knew how to make an AI model talk. And
Mm-hmm.
then we went on to work when we were working with different organizations in rural India. You can't use pictures because you don't have sign offs from them that you can put me,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially in the underserved societies. We generated the look and feel of people overnight. Then home decor segment is such a popular segment because of real estate just picked up recently, right? A year
Yeah.
or two back. Home decor became so big. Now you're going to spend studio lights, models, all of that. It's going to cost you the earth. Fashion industry, brilliant. We're able to use AI to do so many things for industries like this. But initially, people had to get used to systems. They were not, first outputs were not the best outputs.
Yeah.
Repeat outputs were nothing like the first and the second. You
Yes,
can't get
of
it to
course.
look alike.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
So it became a challenge, and until we practiced and put the method of how to get it right, and prompt engineering became so big in the
Mm.
beginning. Today it's a given. The model itself has learned so much that your prompts
It's
are
telling you what to
it's
prompt in
telling you
some cases.
exactly. It
Yeah.
exactly, and so many different tools have come in. So
Yeah.
team tried different things, and it's been huge to look at it, what Shubha said correctly, as as a
Enabler.
support
Yeah.
enabler.
Yeah.
And today I remember, like we say, IT enabled services,
Mm.
AI enabled is going to be really big
Mm.
across everywhere. It is already
Yeah.
across digitalization in
Correct.
organizations, transformation in organizations larger than us as well,
Correct.
and not
Correct.
necessarily only creative.
Yeah.
So
So I
that's,
think I have one follow up there for you, Tina, which is what is the ground on which you do this innovation, right? Because
yeah.
of course it is the team,
Mm.
but what about the team
Yeah.
is what is enabling you, one, to be so agile and to be so quick in the adoption of these things, but at the same time clearly holding on to certain values which
Hmm.
Yeah.
even a partner who's worked with you on a few things is able to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those values, I feel, are the values of care. There's a mutual ecosystem of care and
Yeah.
concern for each other,
Yeah.
which again is not typically how one thinks of an agency, but you've changed that
Yeah.
narrative,
That's true.
right? So,
That's
how
true.
are you doing, going far, but also saying, but this is my base and this is my
Yes.
anchor?
It's very true that whoever's worked with you or engaged with you, uh, you personally, there is such a joy in something new, in
Yeah.
learning, in consuming content or ideas. Like I see you in your travels, you'll capture a billboard and say, call out that this is good work,
Yeah,
right? And so
always.
it's about the work.
Yeah,
It's not about, oh, somebody else did it or we
we
didn't, or
always appreciate. Yeah,
right. So, like she says, how do you stay true to your values and bring that to the group?
I think living values of an organization, percolating the values of an organization is very, very important. In fact, I think, Shubha, one of your sessions where we sat down and figured what our
Yeah.
values would be as an organization, because as we are growing, initially you feed off the founder, you get it off the founder and, the leaders and things like that. Then you have to design for it, because if
Yeah.
you let it go, it's a coral or an amoebic animal that will just grow by
Yeah.
organically and will
Yeah.
grow in all directions.
Yeah.
So you got to put it together, which we do for a lot of organizations also, right? We roll out value systems and
Correct.
things like that. So why not for ourselves is what we were thinking. So we listed out our values, and right in 2011 and 12, I actually had a client that helped me define that Pink Lemonade will always be a workspace with creative workspace with empathy.
Mm.
But sometimes that empathy doesn't come to the fore because it is you are dealing with unnatural situations.
Mm.
You're dealing with too much to deliver too soon. You're dealing with sometimes people not being there. You're dealing with delayed timelines and things. So that unnatural stuff sometimes doesn't bring out the best in you.
Correct.
But I think everybody recognizes a core is of care.
Mm.
And when that happens, mixed with a growth mindset of curiosity and always learning, learning and curiosity are one of our values as
Mm.
well. And we are very, very clear that anybody who brings learning to the team, we in fact have hobby classes where you can teach a hobby which could be work related, non work related. Teach something and you get paid for it. Or
Oh.
we have others coming in and doing, doing classes for us, of course. But we also have, if you're curious and you have an idea on a project or a brand that you haven't worked on or you're not on, you can come in and say, can I give you an
Mm.
idea? And nobody will stop you. If anybody stops you, I tell them, please come straight to me and talk, because that is the system that if you're curious, you're keen, tell us what you want and we should make it
Mm.
possible for you. I've had people who are copywriters who've come to me and said, can I attend client meetings, please? Can I do a video script, please? Can I get onto a project which is internal comms? Can I do an ad
Yeah.
tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if you have a desire, you've noticed it in someone else that they've done it and you want that for yourself as well, come just ask. We will give it to you, we'll make it possible for you.
Mm.
And everybody's allowed to, learn through osmosis like this. And that people should thrive on learning.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
thrive on your outcomes. I remember when I was much younger, I used to say every creative I deliver feels like you delivered a baby. You feel thrilled. Today I feel it in BD. But yeah, you've got to carry the
Yeah.
passion for
Yeah.
something. We
Yeah.
try to nurture that
Yeah.
as much.
So I think that brings me to the next question, which is, this is the thing that we keep hearing is missing in the latest generation at the workforce,
Mm.
right? Whatever you call it, X, Y, Z, Alpha. But, hey, don't you want to feel great about the output? Or don't you want to put in the effort? Don't you want to learn? Why is it just that I have to tell you what to do and you will do it? And, those kind of
Yeah, lots of people are talking about the Gen Z culture and things like that, and there is always a struggle. But actually, I also am a huge proponent of Gen Zs.
mm,
I feel they've got immaculate amounts of impeccable amounts of talent,
mm,
and we just have to tap it correctly. They are a hugely creative lot, a very smart bunch. I had a customer who came back and told me, Tina, I want the 24 and younger on your team. And if you're
Mm.
not putting 24 and younger on your team, I don't want to work.
Wow.
So
mm,
I'm sure you all have also come across
yeah.
examples like this. I think rather than blaming Gen Z, what we should not, I'm not saying you are, but what is a mindset that we could adopt is how do we learn to work with Gen Zs and bring out the best? Again, coming back to the same methodology that if they are my target group, what am I doing to work with that target group? How
Mm.
can I bring out the best in them? Have we really given them autonomy, authority? Have we given them prime position on a job that they are working on? Have
Mm,
we heard them out? Because some of the ideas that they bring in are absolutely fabulous.
yeah.
They're the fastest adopters of the new technologies.
Mm.
And both Tapan and I absolutely enjoy working with Gen Zs. I love it when somebody's got new ideas and ways to do things. What do they want in return? They're asking you for a decent balance of certain things, right?
Mm,
They're
Mm.
asking you, I want time when I want time. For
yeah.
the things that matter to me, um, let me take that time off for the things that matter to me. But when they come to work, how do we get work to matter to them? If you give them a little more freedom, give them more experience, I think they're very clued in and they're able to do it. I can't say I have done it each time at best. But yes, it does, frankly, it does get to us, a generation of us, when we
Yeah,
see
yeah. It's a
work
learning
ethics.
process, right?
Work
Yeah.
ethics are it, but it's
Yeah.
a learning. You're
It's a
right, it's a
learning.
learning. Work ethics are important to me. But I've normally seen that there are many people who've not been able to work with us because we are by and large an organization that will very well take care of you if you are one of the performers. We will give you chances if you can't perform. But the moment you start to, the work ethic becomes more of entitlement, more of I can do whatever I want and I can fool the system. That's when I don't like it, because I think it's unfair. There are people who are working with you through the day, giving you their best. Let the winners actually win, and let's be fair to them also. No,
Fair,
that's
yeah.
because everybody will tend to see, why does somebody get away with something which is
Yeah.
unfair to others?
So, what's a good tip for, let's say, your leadership layer and
Hmm.
such leadership layers across organizations, especially in larger ones, who are seeing this as such a huge gap, right? Us versus Gen Zs, and kind of like, oh, they have to be more like us, and even that attempt to meet halfway is more towards older ways of working,
Sure.
right? Where is that written email asking for leave some 3 days prior, right? It's still
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
reality. It's
Yeah.
still an ask that some managers are making,
Yeah.
right? But these are digital natives. They think differently. They operate differently. SMS is same as email. They were born with both. We saw one after the other. So what would you what would be your tips to that leadership layer to cope with this?
Shubha, I'd again dress it up in the language of marketing and branding, because that comes naturally to me. How are you relevant as a leader to the audience that you have today? So if the Gen Z is the larger audience you have, are you relevant if you're enforcing some of these things? Because any marketing campaign I do is not relevant if I don't plan for the correct audience. uh, I'm blessed also that our leaders were also quick to adopt on the technologies and the systems that we put in. But honestly, I'm probably the wrong person, because I work more on WhatsApp than email. So my team knows that if you really want Tina, you have to call her twice and she will answer. She'll know something is wrong. But mostly it's WhatsApp. And by the end of the day, I'm not clearing email, I'm clearing WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yeah.
And sometimes it gets very intense.
Yeah.
But we have other systems like Slack is there, and there are emails, of course. But again, this is the antithesis of what others are doing. We have an unlimited leave policy at Pink Lemonade.
Oh.
So I don't know whether you're aware of that, but you have unlimited leave in a year. You just take it responsibly.
No, and that actually creates a space where they are also saying, hey, though I'm on a holiday,
Yeah.
I can do 2 hours.
Yeah.
Rather than lie about where you are or
Yeah.
say I'm not
People are allowed
available.
1 or 2 hours in the day. You can go anywhere and come. People have gone to court cases for PTMs, they've gone to hospitals. It is a regular thing. We will not mark you half day. Please, we're not about that. All we ask is bring your whole self, full potential to work when you work. When you're off, take that time off when you need it off. And that's the system of honesty and transparency that we have inculcated. I can't say I'm disappointed. I can't. I can't say that.
No,
Most
honestly, I
people,
think it's something to be.
99% of the cases,
Yeah.
they're honest and they're nice.
Yeah, trust the good in people.
I
Yeah.
always do
Yeah.
that,
Which is so
Shobha.
exactly, which is also such a natural extension of the person that is
I was
Tina,
just going
right?
to say that we were just chatting before you came in, saying what is the image that comes to mind, or what are some words? It helps the conversation, and instinctively for both of us, it was that maternal warmth that you bring to the workplace in a very good way. Also knowing as mothers that that is a huge load, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of energy to bring,
That's a lot of
along
energy.
with creative energy, along with business energy, the energy of caring,
Yeah.
right? So how do you manage that? What does it do to you on a day-to-day basis?
Shubha, very good question, because a giver also drains until you recharge.
Yeah.
But I don't think I give it as a planned move. I think I'm a carer by in
By
naturally,
nature, yeah, yeah.
naturally. So sometimes I
I think
feel,
that's the only way it can be. I don't
yeah,
think you can
fake
force
it.
Force it
You
or
yourself to
can't.
do
You
manufacture.
this.
can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Over the years of leadership, you learn to move back, because as a mother you can't always be over caring.
Mm.
Some boundaries are important, right? People will also want you to give them that space. For example, I there have been instances where I've been misread on things I've said, but they can share the same thing with me. The moment I open up on something, it can be
Yeah,
misread. So
yeah.
I have to know my place and my boundary very carefully, and I have learned those lessons. You learn through your experiences.
Yeah.
Like I said, we are
Yeah.
all a
No, no,
work in
definitely.
progress.
But I
Yes.
think
Amalgamation of
what
that.
you have kind of been consistent about is there's still a lot of care into the ideas that you implement,
Yes,
right?
there
Like,
is.
whether it's learning, whether it's self care or rest for the employees, the
Yes.
benefits that you offer,
Yeah.
it's not something that you said, hey, I tried, it worked for some time, you know,
Yeah,
the
we've had it
business
for a very
environment, it
long
doesn't
time.
make sense now, or any, it's part of who you are.
You're very right that that instinct is high, and I think honestly, if you ask me, genuine, authentic care is authentic leadership. Because
Mm.
how can you not have empathy for a situation that someone is dealing with?
Mm.
Tomorrow, when the work demands a certain situation, these are the very same people who stand in.
Yeah.
So how can we not think through, on some
Mm.
of these things?
It's not a knee jerk reaction.
No,
It's
it's
No.
not a
not.
Yeah.
flavor
It's
of the
not.
season.
Yeah.
It's a part of the pink lemonade DNA,
Yes, it
right?
is.
And I think my question comes back to that takes a lot from you,
Mm.
right? Because I'm sure maybe even some leaders may challenge it, saying, why are you doing this?
No, actually,
Uh,
my leaders are very, very similar. I love it when somebody says, Tina, but our culture is to do this. When
ah,
they remind
Wow.
me,
Yeah.
and that is real, Hasita, you were asking me earlier,
Yeah.
that is really them living it. I love it when they say, but our culture is this. I'm lucky, I'm blessed. They always come back and say, but we have this.
ah,
So they've really imbibed, because these values have been formed together,
Mm.
germinated
Mm.
together. We've
Mm.
sat and thought through what we stand for. Fun at work is something we stand for.
mm,
So people have to enjoy where they are. If you're
yeah.
not, come up and tell us why, what's happening. Are you reading something wrong, or are you getting a wrong perception somewhere?
Mm.
And one input that I have, and you asked me the caring thing, I learned from a book I was reading. Don't recollect who the CEO was. And he was asked that, why do you go every Monday morning and walk the whole office
Mm,
talking to people? He said, that is my job as the CEO, first to care for all of them. How was the weekend? Is the
mm,
family well? How is your
Mm.
wife recovering? Etc.
Mm.
Etc. And I learned a lesson from there that it's not wrong that I am checking on them personally. Some people, of course, will not want to cross boundaries. More often than not, I see them telling me stuff, and I have to be careful about what I will say, in return. But the way they open up is lovely when there's genuine and authentic
mm.
care. So this is what I learned from.
So I'm going to take a different angle on this because as I'm listening to you, there is the other challenge that women in organizations are facing. Very today, let's bring more masculinity,
Ha.
right? And that there is a personal cost to being that caring person sometimes, right? And there are women leaders who say, hey, you know, are we taken less seriously because we bring that side of us, which is
Okay.
very natural to us,
Hmm.
and we bring that caring side, but it's not appreciated because here it's
Hmm.
your space, your business. But women leaders who are in organizations, um, how do they deal with kind of being told that, hey, don't bring this to the workplace?
I think there's a balance of that also, Shubha. There is let me put it like this, it's not over empathetic,
Hmm.
it's not mushy, it
Hmm.
can't be all of that.
Mm.
It need not be physical. So it is. It's what's comfortable to everybody today, because
Yeah.
we are also in a world that is largely careful about how um, they want to express themselves
Correct.
in all forms,
Mm.
form, dress, language, all of this, and that I think has accelerated in the last 2 3 years a
Correct.
lot.
Correct.
So one has to exercise the right amount of caution in bringing this part of yourself to the fore. But I do believe that everybody has more than one sides. We are not necessarily always demonstrating one facet of our personality.
Correct.
Again, we have to change as per what is the need of the hour.
Yeah.
We have to bring up another. For example, I am aggressive, I am assertive when it needs to be. And of course, when I go out in the market, when I'm interfacing with a client, I will show my sharpest and best self. That time, you may not feel the same Tina is an empathetic person or a caring person. In fact, if you ask even my team, they may not always see it in the hurry of getting things done.
Yeah, that's
Correct?
true.
But the core of you as a human being is that, which is why the organization does a few things. And that will come out and be felt in lots of different ways. Today, when I don't meet with new people, I don't, like when I don't know who's coming into the organization, because I don't hire at all levels. But I always ask for an induction, even if it's 15, 20 days late, that I want to meet people. I want to see who's come into the system, and I want to meet the new talent that is there. And as I realize that, these conversations are not happening so much, I meet one or two people every week over an hour. That's a one on one. That's an open door for them to come and tell me anything, any feedback, any problems, any issues. All I say is don't get vicious and don't get negative. Because if you're murking a workplace with, stuff like, which is not positive, not conducive to well-being of people, then I'm not going to like it. But otherwise, one has to change to be relevant to a new gen, to a new thing. Leadership styles change, all of that. But I don't think a leader should ever lose touch with their people. So that one-on-one is very critical. In fact, I used to do lunch with 4 people just before I, changed my working pattern last year. I used to do lunch with 4 people. Lunch was on the house. We would order in 4 people from 4 different teams. Sometimes they wouldn't have met each other because we are so many of us. And then I said, okay, do you know this and this? You don't? So we'll know today. Close the door, tell me whatever you want, let's talk whatever. And people are so sweetly sometimes, you have time, but somebody will say, can we get more spoons in the pantry? I said, oh, that's not a thing to tell me just now. You should be telling admin.
Something else.
Yeah, you can
Use the time
use
when
the
you're-
time to tell me what you want me to, hear. How should I change? How should we change? All of that. See, I just believe moments are there. If people want to be naysayers, sometimes they will be. You're not looking at opportunities like this, But leadership intent should be correct.
No, but it's interesting because I've had someone on the system tell me multiple times that we should meet in a social context more, or we should do more
I
things.
used to do that as well, yes.
And as you say that, I'm realizing that what they were asking me to do is to show up more in ways that are not so formal. Because I tend to get a little excited about the work, and then it's all very sharp and
Exactly, exactly.
So I think the request there was to say, hey, who else
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show me a little bit of, and all of us for that matter. So in some ways to say, give me permission to be who else I am as well. So
How
they
lovely
also
you
want to show you
put it
who
across
they
very
are.
well.
yeah.
You put it across very well.
Yeah.
I can't say that I'm happy about the fact that those moments are few today. I can't say, but I know that the system has enough people for them. Like, for example, they call me warm. They say, when you're not there, it gets a little, we don't see that side of things. But I used to do that. I used to go out a lot. I used to do, but over the years, I've wanted to maintain a certain place and give them their place as well. I think that's very nice for them to be able to. So sometimes I know there were times I would feel, oh, they didn't think that they should call me. I was also a part of this. But now it's okay. I feel that, let them, my need is for them to have fun, for them to enjoy themselves.
Correct.
If I have to interact, I will
Beautiful.
make those moments. They should have fun. And sometimes because of us. Yeah.
Correct.
Because most people tend to look at it as I have to have fun in spite of work. you know.
I know.
Yeah. So
Seriously,
look at
yeah.
it that way. Sometimes
Always
you have
the
fun
boss
because of
versus
us.
the rest, right? That's
Yeah, because of work is what I mean actually. Yeah. So that's the true heart of who I would like, to be seen as.
nice. So there are so many kind of moving parts in your life, like most of us, but there is a huge business, like salaries to pay every month, clients to deal with on a daily basis. There's home, family, various needs there. Uh, where do you find the time and space? Like, how do you recharge to be able to do all of this?
Yeah, that's very important, and that's a huge learning for me last year, which is why you see my exaggerated huge. Because, like I was saying, the natural reaction, and she must be facing it, you're facing it probably. is to run with it. Let's do it. If
Correct.
it's
Yeah,
happening, let's
yeah,
do it. Keep the pace. Let's
yeah.
go. Because, and when you're type A, you're mostly that.
Yeah.
You're saying, let's run and get things done. So you're dipping in, you're diving in, you're,
Yeah.
handling stuff. That takes a toll on you somewhere. And for me, it came at a time with personal grief. That
Mm.
is what showed up. And I realized a whole lot of things that I was not doing to take care for myself,
Mm.
not going internal at all, despite having a huge spiritual presence in my life in the
Mm.
form of my husband, who's a spiritual teacher and things. So, all of that was taking a toll somewhere, but I found a rhythm because of a whole lot of things I did last year.
Mm.
And I feel recharge today is very important. And there is another coach, Preeti, who puts it across very well. Is med RX is what she says. So there's
Huh.
a little bit of meditation, there's a little bit of exercise, there's a little bit of maybe something D, I don't recollect what it is, but it's like medicine for you. RX is
Huh.
the rest and
Yeah.
relaxation
Yeah.
and all of that. So for me, I think it is a little prayer and meditation. For me, it's good reading and intake. What you're reading makes a great impact on you. So
Mm.
I read regularly. Also, what you're seeing makes a great impact on
Mm.
you. So I stay away from seeing anything that will have a overtly debilitating effect
Huh.
on
Hmm.
mind and energies and things.
Yeah.
Learn to, of course, to stay away from all those energies which don't do me any good. So really preserve that energy first, and feed in as much good. So all the sources that feed in the good, I try on the weekends as less as possible to have anything pending, because it's totally family time. And travel is a good one, of course, so a
Yeah.
little bit of
Yeah.
that. But it is not that you can suddenly take a pill and it goes away. It's not like only one
Yeah,
Correct.
it takes
nugget.
its
It's
own time.
something that you have to sustain as a lifestyle.
Hmm.
And this again I learned from Anu Aga, who has seen her life go through so many challenges. She lost a 25-year-old son, she lost her husband, she had to take over Thermax. And Anu recently shared how she spent her time in Vipassana, how she's meditated. And I have a source at home. We
Hmm.
have a
Yes.
spiritual center at home. So I need to spend time and do this on a sustained level, because unless you take care of yourself, or that, refill your cup, you can't give the others.
Right.
And then when you move from that energy, you're so much more balanced, and you're so much more,
Yeah.
ability to deal with situations
Yeah.
is more responsive, not reactive. And I feel I've changed like that. But of course, it'll take time for people also to see and note those
Agree.
instances.
Correct.
Because, like I said, people say, I don't think you can stop, because that's the energy they know.
Yeah, and then
No,
that becomes a by default, almost you've been
Correct.
yeah.
typecast into that
Correct.
role of
Now.
someone who now you know
Always.
permission to
Yeah.
stop,
Human
you know.
nature.
Yeah.
Human nature.
And
Yeah.
let me not stop. Then I have to answer all these people who said what
One more
happened, why
job,
you
yeah.
why you stopped,
I feel that is the only thing we can do is change ourselves.
Hmm.
And the thing that matters is, have you progressed from where you are? Because winning is not important anymore. Progress is. Progress is. And as long as you can say, I have progressed, and I'm happier with the thing, the
Hmm.
situation, the person, the work output, whatever that you are facing, I think you've won. That
Hmm.
is the win. The journey is
Hmm.
the win for me today.
But hearing you say that 1 year you were working from home, right?
Not one
And
year, less than that.
huh,
Yeah.
but you were physically away, and you're somebody who, from what I've seen, does thrive with people
People
around you
interaction, of
and
course.
being in the center of things and getting to know what's happening. So that couldn't have been easy at all. But what are some takeaways that could be useful for while we run
Honestly,
smaller
for me
businesses?
personally, to say,
Hmm.
okay, I mean, I do need those avenues to
Yeah,
learn and to do something else. So I can come back and do this. And I'm sure a lot of us find ourselves in that
Yeah,
place
yeah.
of saying maybe there's a reason to take a break.
Hmm.
And it's usually a big reason, even if we don't realize it upfront.
Yeah.
But the responsibility is there. What you're doing has to continue. What do you do then?
I think it takes a very evolved leader, or a person who's running an organization, to recognize that there is a need to recharge and stop. We don't do it because there
yeah,
is a pressing need, again, the urgent and important. There are so many families that I see that have taken decisions that we will take a holiday together once a year, but we will. And normally it is the mother or the father who enforces something like that. I think that's a very lovely connecting thing between families that
yeah,
are growing. and when the children, grow and have spouses, etc. Similarly, at the workplace, it's a very nice thing to take a decision that, I see so many people come to me and say, Tina, I want 2 weeks off. Or there are a couple of instances where they've taken the whole month off. We've had a few people, and mind you, that is again paid, huh? The whole thing. Because if someone's been with us for a fair amount of time and they feel a life situation demands it, we do accommodate it.
Yeah.
And I feel we should be more vigilant of these changes so that we can take these decisions in time. I think today I'm so much more recognizing of that, cognizant of that, because last year all the travel, also some travel was imperative because it wasn't really a holiday, but the
Yeah.
fact that you go away and come, you give yourself a moment to do something different, and that recharges you in different ways, that teaches you in different ways. Hasita, I know you do diving and all
Yes,
of that as
yes.
well. So
Yeah,
you
it's
take a conscious decision to do
for
that, right?
sure. And it's
That
been
is
a process of
evolution to
figuring
me.
out how to, because I mean, you have to be away. It's not a
Yeah.
thing you can do with
Yeah.
your phone,
Yeah.
in tow. So it
Yeah.
has taken a
Yeah.
bit of time and honestly a lot of guilt and figuring out and explaining myself to finally, I think, come to a place where at least I don't feel the need to explain, but the
Yeah.
transition can now happen to say,
That's very
okay,
nice.
what do we do now? Now that we have the comfort of saying, okay, it's
Yeah.
all good. Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
that's what I'm happy that some of these conversations that we're having is triggering more such conversations outside. Like
Yeah.
a number
Yeah.
of people have, we posted one episode of her diving journey, right? Not just diving journey, like diving, the business. I mean, it's all how it's coming together for her. And so many people reached out saying, hey, I didn't even know, one, that diving could be such a big kind of pursuit,
Of course,
right?
diving
And
is.
two, to be able to do that while you're running a business. Three, the how does she manage this? Like, it's triggering conversations, and I think those are so important for
Yeah.
people, men and women, and
Women
to
are
hear.
classic not to look at themselves first, yeah.
Yeah.
In my mar architecture,
Mm.
my motherly architecture archetype, I fall into that very often, sacrificing myself.
Mm.
I see it even today. If there's a meal on the table, everybody else gets first preference, but
Mm.
I consciously try to serve my daughter before I serve my son,
Mm.
because and I consciously stop myself because obviously their physical needs are different. So I know the bigger thing will always go to him, the smaller thing might go to her, but I turn it around. Then I say we'll get another one, but let her have the big one first. So as a mother, you put yourself last. As a woman, you
Mm.
put yourself last. But last year changed that a little bit because I did a lot of things. Solo travel was the first last year. Those things
How was
taught
that
me a lot. Oh,
experience?
it taught
Yeah.
me a lot. There
Uh,
was fear. There was
where did you go?
Shubha, I went to Portugal for a spiritual retreat, and I thought I lost my ticket from between two terminals in
Uh,
Munich, and panic.
uh,
Called home. I said I don't know what to do, but I had put it in the different pocket of my
uh.
backpack and things. So see, I'm so used to following blindly, enjoying myself that
There's a
when
holiday mode of us and there's a work mode of us, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel I shut off everything after work,
Uh,
because you've given so much at
correct,
work.
Yeah, there's
correct.
nothing left to
There's nothing
Yeah,
left
and
to
let others also
take
do
over.
something,
Yeah.
no?
So these are all great
Mm,
experiences.
mm,
For the first time, I traveled with my daughter to Singapore and Dubai for her work, for her college, sorry, and went to Sri Lanka on a US State Department program.
mm.
Again, traveled alone over there. So went to Ladakh with a bunch of women entrepreneurs. So these are different experiences that I was doing without the family. And there's something I want to sort of share today, that when you have a twin, and I have a twin,
Uh,
it becomes very difficult to do things alone. Okay, because
oh,
when I diversified into going into my vocation and my education, and she went her way.
and she's a
She's a
gynecologist.
gynecologist, she became a doctor. I met my husband in college, so there was already holding on, latching on, whatever, that support.
Uh,
So you get very you're not used to taking some sort of solitude or lone time
uh.
in your
Because
life.
I was going to ask, like, in the context of this, what
Yes.
is her
Let me show
archetype?
that quickly. This is lovely because her archetype, I think, is exactly mine, the Ma and the
Oh,
Veera,
okay.
because she's exactly the person I am. And
Because sometimes we hear that it's like just the opposite, or. Wow.
Yes, sometimes you hear the twins are very different, but I feel we change every 6 months.
Oh.
And most parents of twins will tell you that
Oh.
that 6 months she becomes like that, 6 months she becomes like.
Wow.
My mom also used to say it, and I think it's in that evolution cycle. It's a sine and cos wave anyway.
Yeah.
You know what, your growth happens, and then you fall
Yeah.
if you don't sustain yourself in certain things. Then you have to come up again because you find solutions.
Yeah.
So I feel she's also very much like me. What is uncanny is that she's Dr. Nina Mansukhani, is also she also faces similar life situations as me. That's very funny. That whatever happens with me happens with her, or the other way around. We're both undergoing the similar stuff in life. So there's very or one after the other. So you're constantly learning. What happened, and some of her learnings are very nice as well. She also tells me, I've learned this. But of course, we are on different tracks, so
Correct.
her
Correct.
access to things is different than mine. Her
Yeah.
stature, position, all of that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
But
this is a lovely book, incidentally, and this is what I'm just completing, Shubha.
okay. Okay.
Just completing. Very nice. And Nirupama was there at Pink Lemonade.
Ah.
So this I will.
That's why I remembered, because she did the assessment at Pink Lemonade,
She
right? I
did.
saw that.
Very nice. Very lovely. I'm actually asking my leaders to follow on that, not to drop the learning. So, I feel that women leaders have a certain archetype in the way we demonstrate certain things,
Yeah.
and we must downplay and amplify the ones that are needed
Yeah.
in different conversations, in different scenarios. And
And we must get her on the podcast.
Yes, we must.
please, Nirupama is lovely, and I think one of the things that I've also been able to put together, and because of which we invited someone like her, is the speaker series. So everybody at Pink Lemonade, I want them same curiosity as a value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want them to be curious about different industries. I want them to learn from different stalwarts, experts, subject matter experts who can come in and teach us about things. So we've had very popular leaders, famous personalities. We've also had CEOs come in and talk about different things. So we've talked about electric vehicles. We've talked about how Tarun Mehta got his check first from Flipkart, and Vinny and others. He came in and told us these lovely stories. We've talked about ISRO and what happens, when the satellites go up, and scientists came and spoke to us. We've had Barkha Dutt coming and speaking to us. We've had Ayush Shraddha coming. So we had so many lovely personalities who have shared their time with us and taught people something. In fact, just last week we had Captain Rupa from Air India talk to us. She was talking to us about the aviation industry, and the both the airlines have merged today,
Yeah.
and what is life as a pilot like. So people were asking all sorts of questions. Have you ever seen a UFO? Have you seen Starlink when you fly? So it's lovely to
Interesting.
see. Open your horizons, open mindsets, see what the world is also, because all of that will somewhere flow into your creative thinking.
Yeah.
It will somewhere come in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
so-
lovely curiosity, if you're flying, shouldn't you be seeing the Starlink
Yeah, yeah.
satellites?
Yeah, so she told us about a lovely story where she saw some sort of a force in the sky, some UFO type of thing that split into seven. And she said we were stunned what it was. So that question was correct from one of my people. Have you seen a UFO? And I was
We wouldn't
thinking
have thought of
UFO.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Lovely.
So yeah, that is lovely when they are so. So I think workplace should be where you can live as well. So work-life balance, when you say, is life thrives at work also. It's not, because sometimes when you take work home, it's okay to live life also at work,
Correct,
which is why we started the hobby classes, which is why we are so bent on learning. They go to, I mean, we sent everybody for the Kochi Biennale in a bus. All the design team went.
Right.
They all go for, I mean, there are people who go for Curious. India Design Week, they go for. We went recently to an exhibition which was talking about a Japanese artist, and all the 4 5 members of the design team went. We've sponsored a trip to the India Music Experience,
Yeah,
JP
yeah.
Nagar.
Yeah.
So learn, I mean, these are creative influences, no,
Yeah,
which matter.
Yeah.
So that
No,
should
in
be
the work that you're doing, it matters so much.
so much.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
so
So while
relevant.
speakers give us industry knowledge, these creative influences come in through all of we have to, as a leader, you have to take charge, right?
Yeah.
Of structured growth as well.
You can't know what will inspire whom and where they will pick up their next idea from, right? You can only expose and give them the experience.
Absolutely. I have a funny story to tell you on this one. When Barkha Dutt came and spoke to us, she told us about her passion and for being a young journalist, how she went to Kargil and all of these things. And one of my dear ones came and told me that I want to leave because I'm inspired by Barkha and I also want to follow my passion.
Wow.
So I said, that is the true test of what you do. You say, okay, you can follow your passion because why have you otherwise brought that influence in?
Yeah.
You try to inspire. When it's
Yeah.
inspired them,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
you've got to actually
You
walk the
can't
talk when
control
you.
how it will inspire.
Absolutely. So sometimes life throws you these, these moments of you have to act, walk the talk. But she's very sweet. I'm so happy for her. She's working with children in Lucknow now, and she's in
Wow.
touch. And
Oh, nice.
she did a fundraiser. We helped in that and things. It's very
Lovely.
sweet.
Wonderful.
So, in a very Trevor Noah way, I'm going to say, what next?
Oh, a next phase of growth for us, actually. That is next for us. I'm so excited about that. Simon Sinek always says that you don't have to grow, 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 grow. And I think as an entrepreneur, it's important to realize how much do you want to grow. So when we grow to our numbers of 200 in Bangalore, being the largest agency independent here, I think when we've come down now to a number, right corrected is what I feel, to a number that I'm very happy about. This phase of growth, I want to do it with the right systems in place, with the right approaches in place, because this time it's going to be wonderful and we've got strategies for that. And that is very nice because that time you're just going with the flow because post COVID threw everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
we were all just flying after a while,
Correct.
and like Tapan says, after a while, so much growth happened that you feel you can do no wrong. That we are
Yeah.
going good work, good clients are coming, great brands are approaching us, and chalo, chalo, let's go with the flow. But that time I think was very important to calibrate certain things. So
Yeah.
that this is the time for that, and I'm very
Beautiful.
pleased with how we are progressing.
Awesome, awesome. Wish you all the success and all the joy of the process
Thank you.
and the journey more than anything.
That's very true. And I hope the journey is a lovely, joyous one for all of us, for
Thank you.
each one who has given us their time and their years. So, honestly, a huge thanks because a leader is only as good as their team.
That is
So,
true.
they have been with me for a while. I owe them. So that is the love coming out again, as
I
you
can
can see
see,
it.
I can see. I have a
Gosh.
feeling you're going to step out and order something for each of them.
Okay, I have to take away that. Yeah, but no, I do. I feel an overwhelming sense of affection for my team.
And so much that we learn just from, seeing folks who've been there like you and who've done. I think more than anything, it reassures me that I don't have to have everything figured out now. Tells me that there's time and that there's enough example if
So
only
nice,
I go and
Hasita.
ask.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So nice. And I do believe, there is something to learn from every individual. Every individual. Sometimes you hear that, oh, I want to learn more. And there are people who have called me and said the amount of learning at Pink Lemonade and structured learning, I don't see it anywhere else. But still, there are people who say, I'm not getting it because, it's not coming in the form that you have assumed it will come in. But it'll be there. There is stuff to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially from our juniors, the Gen Z, I'm very
Oh, there's so
inspired
much
by.
to learn from them. I mean, the
Yeah.
way they lead their lives is, there's a lot to learn from that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Thank you
lovely.
both for
Our pleasure.
Thank
having
you.
me, and I'm so pleased to see how both of you are doing.
So, my read this week is this book. Maybe you should talk to someone. Now, Laurie is a New York Times best-selling author. She's a psychotherapist. She's a national advice columnist. But sometimes she needs to talk to someone too. And this slightly thick book, but it takes you on a journey along with her, the ups and serious downs, and you really get you're in the room when she's having some very, very serious conversations, fun conversations. But I think for every one of us, there's a lot to learn that we may give help, we may provide help, and when are those moments when we need to ask for help? So, this is a great read. That's my reco.
I have a watch recommendation. So, in the spirit of staying curious, what really appealed to me was Timothy Chalamet speaking at the Screen Actors Guild Awards about the virtue of hard work. In a world where we are not supposed to tell people how hard it has been, he said, oh, but this took 5 years of my life. And that movie is called A Complete Unknown, which is Bob Dylan's slightly fictional autobiography, or a biography perhaps is what you can call it. And my sister, who's also my co-founder, and we have this practice of taking a day off or half a day off in a week to go watch a movie. And we are so glad we went and watched this movie because this is a subject that I would have known nothing about otherwise. So that's my watch recommendation.
Shoe Dog by Phil Knight
Ooh, that's
is
a,
what is my current. Of course, I read a couple of books at a time, so that
Yeah.
is something that I'm very excited about. When you read the story of his logo, which is the famous Nike swoosh in our marketing and
Yes.
branding world, was designed by a college student at 35 rupees.
Yeah.
$35, sorry.
$35.
And so, really, life can be so unexpected. And the struggles that he has seen, and how he almost lost his business until there was this grit to stand there and a couple of lucky strokes.
Mm.
So, that is one that I'll always feel. One important one lesson that comes forward with Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In is that when you're given a chance to be at the table, always take it, because we are the ones who feel a little bit of that imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Everybody feels it. I also feel it in a lot of moments, but sometimes you just got to act on it, and your mind body spiritual construct will kick in. You know it will kick in. It does the job. And take that chance when you're given. So Sheryl Sandberg. And the other one that I'd like to recommend is Ariana Huffington, Sleep, which is
Oof,
excellent because I think it's underrated. Thanks to brands like Kurlon, Wakefit, all of these that are making sleep, because they've picked up the narrative, which again I say, the purpose and not the product. It's not about the mattress and
Yeah.
the sofa and recliner anymore. It's become about the purpose, which is sleep. Sorry, but I put everything in the layer of branding and marketing because
No,
that's the
no,
only
this
thing
is
I
beautiful. And
live.
That's
yeah.
beautiful.
And I think sleep is extremely important. So, huge one that Ariana says about how you can recoup when you're doing so many things like getting the right rest. I'm not one to talk because don't think I've followed suit on everything. But while I'm on your podcast and this inspirational podcast, I'll make a pledge to improve that. Okay.
Yay.
Great.
Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank
Lovely
you.
having you.
Lovely being
Thank
with
you.
both of you. A huge admiration for both of you.
Thank you for listening or watching Small Talk Work Play Build. Keep coming back. And in the meanwhile, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop in your comments, drop us an email, or maybe DM us a hi on Instagram. See you soon. Bye.
See you. Bye.